Howdy, friends. Good morning and welcome. Welcome to Golden VCR. Let me just check the date here. It is September 11th, 2024. What a beautiful day. Let's get cracking. Oh, how eerily silent. There we go. We do, in fact, have Operation Enduring Freedom, America Fights Back. We're not going to open with that one, though. Let's do something more fun. Welcome back, everybody. I took Monday off because I needed a break. Glad to be back. My body hurts from hunching over a laptop, and I think hunching over a computer. The more productive I am with like typing code, the worse, the more pain I am in. Let's check out a tape, shall we? How y'all doing today? You watch the debate? I didn't. 100 years of Cheyenne Frontier Days. Relive the legends of the daddy of them all. I actually have a standing desk. It's just not the one that my desktop is on. Return to the Old West. I found this at a thrift store in Western North Carolina. Yeah, hunching is bad. Don't do it. Be careful of your posture. Invest in your ergonomics. Return to the Old West at its greatest before the turn of the century and proceed. Oh, wait, I should be doing a cowboy voice. Let's see if I know how to do that. Return to the Old West at its greatest before the turn of the century and proceed 100 years to the rituals and excitement of the world's largest outdoor rodeo and Western celebration in this dramatic video. Produced exclusively for the 100th annual Cheyenne Frontier Days by the George Michael Sports Machine. What? George Michael? He has a sports machine? We're going to learn about the early cowboy stuff in Cheyenne, Teddy Roosevelt's visit in 1910. All right, let's do it. Hey, 1,000 bits from Green Day. Kirk is in my hometown tonight. Oh, beautiful. Thank you. That'll be a great end to our 9/11 stream. Kirk Franklin, God's property. I'm all about it. Thank you. I'll try and remember that. Let's get this tape in, and then we can talk. Cheyenne Frontier Days. Y'all ready to cowboy? You'll see how Cheyenne developed the reputation of being the daddy of them all registered trademark. The women trick riders and relay racers, and discover through live interviews how Miss Frontier has become one of the most prestigious rodeo queens in the world.
Welcome to a celebration.
Oh, baby.
A celebration of 100 years of Cheyenne Frontier Days. Relive the rituals, the traditions that have made Cheyenne Frontier Days so special to America's history. From the early days of steam locomotives, the spectacular sights, the sounds. We're going to take you on a trip.
Hey, thank you for the
history.
6-month resub.
We'll take you back into the past of time. The Wild West.
Into the past of time?
You've seen it wilder than you will on the history of Cheyenne Frontier Days.
This narrator is very excited.
For 100 years, Cheyenne Frontier Days recalls the way it was in the Wild West. From the early days of the steam locomotives to the modern streamlined railroad, the Union Pacific has always been a key part of Cheyenne. The state's capital takes you back into the past of time every year in July.
Is he saying paths of time or past of time?
Modern time. That's what Cheyenne Frontier Days is all about. The Daddy of 'em All Rodeo is the focal point of the 100th annual Cheyenne Frontier Days. As it was in the beginning, it's the star of the show.
Is now and never shall be. World without end.
Cavalry from Fort D.A. Russell in Wyoming fired a cannon that set off the beginning of the first Cheyenne Frontier Day.
Hey, Storms. Wow.
Years later, we will
10
celebrate
months.
the 100th anniversary of Cheyenne Frontier Days.
Thank you, thank you.
Hi, I'm Phil Van Hoor. I have the privilege of being the chairman for the 100th annual Cheyenne Frontier Days. And for the next several minutes, I hope you will take some time to enjoy the history of this truly remarkable event.
Yeah, this is a wiggly tape.
It's a 100-year history. Relive the legends of the Daddy of 'em All.
Hashtag Daddy of 'em all.
All Rodeo.
Hashtag past of time.
In the beginning, Cheyenne was called the Magic City of the Plains. It had its beginning back in 1867. Those were the days when the railroad crews would come to lay their tracks. It began back in July of 1867. A chief engineer, General Greenville Dodge, chose a spot that was to become known simply as Cheyenne, Wyoming.
It was the magic city of the plains. It grew up overnight as the railroad pushed west. And then, later on, as the cattle industry came through, it blossomed. There were stately buildings, beautiful homes, churches, an opera house, a very exclusive men's club.
Ask any historian, and they'll tell you the key to success in the early days of Cheyenne was the railroad.
Cheyenne actually had its beginning in 1867 when the railroad crews came through here to build the city. Grenville Dodge laid out the city, and in 1869 it was quite a thriving town for the West, and it was called from then on the Magic City of the Plains.
But to be the Magic City, Cheyenne needed something special. A man named Colonel E.A. Slack came to Cheyenne to be the editor of the Cheyenne Daily Sun Leader.
I'm from Birmingham,
He
Alabama,
determined that,
which is
among other things,
also called the
to
Magic
be
City.
special, there should be a celebration. The celebration would be known
So I'm very
as
suspicious
Frontier
of
Days.
Cheyenne.
This is E.A. Slack. He originally, along with the help of civic leader Warren
E.A.
Richardson,
Slack. It's in the
created
game.
Cheyenne Frontier Days. Little did they know their rodeo would grow to be 100 years old. Those two men, with businessman Frederick Angier, met in the Tivoli Hotel. Here they planned the Daddy of 'em All.
E.A. Slack moved to Cheyenne after South Pass City played out.
I don't
and
think
owned the newspaper called the Cheyenne Daily Sun.
this narrator is starting out with this very intense energy, and I don't think it's gonna.
Which was called the Leader.
I don't think it's
and
gonna
became
taper
the
off at
Cheyenne
all.
Sun Leader.
I think he's
Along
stuck at
about
11.
Late
He's not going to
August
stop.
In 1896.
He's not going to stop saying the Daddy of 'em all really excitedly.
His name was Frederick Onger. Frederick had an idea. He was a traveling passenger agent for the Union Pacific Railroad. He had been successful that year in setting up a corn day in Loveland and a potato day in Greeley. And he was working his way north, and he stopped in to Cheyenne to see the general agent
Corn
of the
Day.
railroad here, who said there was nothing to this
I want a
town.
tape about
The
Corn
town
Day.
was dead, and he might as well pack up his bags and go on down the road. Well, Onger was a professional and was not to be put off. So he went to see Colonel E.A. Slack of the newspaper. And Colonel Slack gave him the time of day. He said, you know, I think your idea is pretty good. Let's go see the mayor. And so the two of them started out. They went to see the mayor, Mr. Schnitzker, who also thought it was a great idea. And before the evening was over, they had set up a meeting inviting all the businessmen in town, and then the next day met at the Tivoli bar upstairs, not in the bar, but upstairs. These were very proper businessmen, and they, before the evening was over, they had launched the first Frontier
Proper
Day.
businessmen never drink over business deals.
September 23rd, 1897.
Oh, this tape may not last.
That
Oh
will
no.
live forever in the hearts of rodeo history. Cheyenne remembers it well as the first Frontier Day.
She was talking about the
celebration.
genesis of Frontier Day,
Word spread rapidly.
which is a
throughout
guy
the
that worked
West
for the
that
railroad
there would be money prizes
coming through
for the
this
best
town on the
bronc
Union
rider,
Pacific and being
for
like,
the
this
best
town
at
sucks.
anything when it came to rodeo.
There's nothing to do
And
here.
if
We
you
need
were
to
gonna
prop up
offer
the
money as
economy
prizes,
and fleece
cowboys
people
were
into
gonna
coming
come
here.
from everywhere. They don't call it Return to the Wild West for nothing. This was indeed a Wild West celebration. There was no
Tilbor was a
admission
classic.
charge, but if you wanted a bleacher
I
seat,
also
you
can't
had to
believe
pay
it's been 10
15
months.
cents. You could get a
That's,
grandstand seat for 35 cents.
That's concerning, actually.
A crowd of almost 4,000 people would gather in Old Cheyenne to watch rodeo history be made.
The first Frontier Day was scheduled September 23rd, 1897. And at noon that day, everything was ready. The military from Fort D.A. Russell, out just west of town, sent a troop and a band, and cannons were fired, guns were shot off, bells rang. It was a festival, a carnival, a celebration. And they all trooped out west to Old Pioneer Park for Frontier Day.
The first Cheyenne Frontier Day celebration was so wildly successful that word spread rapidly throughout the West. There was big money, big prizes, and big fun to be had in Cheyenne. If you had big fun in the West, then you had to have Buffalo Bill. At the turn of the century, in the Wild West,
If you missed it, this
Buffalo
tape is
Bill
100 years of
was
Cheyenne
the
Frontier
stud of
Days,
them all.
TM.
If you were going to have a great event, you had to have Buffalo
So this
Bill.
tape is commemorating
Buffalo Bill was
the genesis of Frontier Day.
passed through here
Jace Book
frequently
says,
on
I
his
hear a
way
certain
from
man
North
with
Platte
a
up to
purple
his
swimsuit
town
likes
of
Frontier
Cody,
Day.
Wyoming.
He gave
spent
the
a lot of time around
attendees
the
some
old
well-needed
Red
steam.
Barn,
Thank you,
which was
Jace.
a corral, and he had a spectacular show.
Stay tuned for steam.
1898 was a wonderful Frontier Days. They had a grand time. They had a wedding in front of the grandstands, and they did that the next year too. Frontier Days was launched.
Within a matter of years, Cheyenne Frontier Days became so popular that President Theodore Roosevelt paid a visit in 1903. He returned in 1910 to the daddy of them all.
The daddy of them all.
Recalls President Roosevelt's visit to Cheyenne.
Of course, when I was here in 1903, the citizens of Cheyenne put on a special exhibition of riding and roping for me out at the fairgrounds. But I came back in 1910 for the genuine article, Cheyenne Frontier Days. We came in by train on Saturday morning and just in time to go to the reviewing stand for the parade. I was accompanied by Governor Brooks, Senator Warren, Jim Garfield, who had been my Secretary of Interior. After the military contingent, there was a band from Casper, troops of cowboys and cowgirls and Sioux and Shoshone Indians, the old Deadwood stage, 2 buffalo pulling a cart, and bringing up the rear a whole contingent of gaily decorated automobiles. Then it was
A
time
whole
to rock the
contingent of
rodeo
gaily
grounds for
decorated
the Final
automobiles.
performance of the rodeo. The highlight of the day, there were races, horse races for cowboys and cowgirls, for the Sioux and the Shoshone Indians, both men and women, a mule race, and riding and roping and steer wrestling contests. The highlight of the day was the championship of the bronco busting event, won by Sam Scoville of Cheyenne on a horse called Aeroplane. Now, no horse was better named. He spent far more time in the air than he did on the ground. Scoville rode him to a standstill. Oh, it was a bully ride. By George, it was good to be back in God's country again.
President Teddy Roosevelt's visit to Cheyenne told the nation what everybody in the West already knew. This was the greatest party.
I love Three Horse
America
Moon
could have.
behind them in the sky.
In those early days, it wasn't bull riding, but rather buffalo riding. You didn't ride for 8 seconds. You rode until the buffalo stopped or you got thrown off. One of the great contests in 1908, this horse, Old Steamboat, a horse that had never been ridden. Dick Stanley qualified by riding this horse, Hightower. He then drew Old Steamboat in the finals. But Dick Stanley was a man of mystery.
1903, Tom Horn was in jail here. He was a range detective, and they hung him for the murder of Willie Nickel. And it's been disputed over the years. They don't really figure he did it, but he killed a lot of guys and deserved hung. He was in jail with a man named Jim McLeod. They made a jailbreak, and they recaptured them both. They sent Jim McLeod to the penitentiary, and they hung Tom Horn. Jim McLeod was in jail for killing a Minnick, a sheepman out of Thermopolis, Wyoming, and his partner was a man named Earl Shobe. And Earl Shobe they never captured. In 1908, Earl Shobe entered Cheyenne Frontier Days Rodeo under the name of Dick Stanley, and he rode and spurred the horse called Steamboat. One hardly any cowboy could ride. He was a tremendous bucking horse, and he won Cheyenne Frontier Days, and they never captured Earl Shobe.
1 year later, Dick Stanley, who was really Earl Shobe, died after winning Cheyenne. Cheyenne Frontier Days is a celebration of America's past.
This is great. It's very high energy, but if you zone out for a little bit, it's just like you're sitting in an old West town listening to people gossip about who killed who.
In Cheyenne. By the 1920s, Cheyenne Frontier Days was in full swing. The daddy of them all quickly became the best show in town.
The daddy of them
Bands
all.
from neighboring towns would come to play in Cheyenne. And with all respect to the Judds, this is the way the music sounded.
Registered trademark.
About Cheyenne.
I can't tame wild women, but I can make tame women wild. I can't tame wild women, but I'm the guy what will try. Say I ain't the preacher, I'm the preacher's son, but I can do the preaching till the preacher comes. Say I can tame wild women, but I can make tame women wild.
Oh, it shows orange as the random color.
Cheyenne's reputation grew. The word was the women of Cheyenne were the wildest in the world. Bonnie Gray jumping her horse King Tut over an automobile. Mildred Douglas.
Unless the first word of your
They all became legendary.
prompt is a color,
And the women weren't just involved in the
it
social
will
things.
randomly select a
Steer
color
riding,
and
roping,
prepend it.
rock riding. The women did it all because Cheyenne was only for the strong.
So it asks for an orange daddy of them
Considered to
all.
be the most popular female rider of the early 1900s. She's a female bronc rider, seen here riding a horse in Cheyenne. She has a special place in this city's history.
Women have been involved with Frontier Days since its first inception with professional women's saddle bronc riding here, and women were involved in World Championship trick and fancy riding and roping here. And then the Denver Post had the women's relay races here for years, up until 1946. And women have always been revered here.
I think it's very interesting how the women were so involved in the 20s. I mean, they rode the bucking horses, they had relay races, they were involved in every one of the events. They roped, and they were right in there with the cowboys and competing with them.
The year is 1931. This is Miss Jean Nimmo. She is the very first woman ever to be crowned Miss Frontier Days.
They asked the various organizations
Oh, it's her.
of town if they would sponsor a girl and sell tickets, and they get votes by the number of tickets that were sold. And I just was very fortunate to have been sponsored by the American Legion. Those fellows all worked very hard for me. I think it's just been, each year has been a bigger honor. I just feel like having been recognized every year since 1931 has really been a big honor to me.
Oh, she's so
This
sweet.
is Shorty Hill of Farmington, New Mexico, a great bareback rider who became the first bull riding champion.
The bareback daddy of them all.
Greeno of Red Lodge, Montana, the bronc riding champion of 33, 35, and 36. But one of the biggest stars of Cheyenne was a horse named Midnight. On his gravestone is this poem.
Under this sod lies a great bucking horse. There never lived a cowboy he couldn't toss. His name was Midnight, his coat was black as coal. If there's a horse heaven, please God, rest his soul.
Midnight, also known as the Devil Horse, died in 1937. Despite the depression of the 30s,
God rest his soul, the Devil Horse.
Continued to grow. In fact, Cheyenne Frontier Days served as a real shot to the area's economy.
Frontier Days continued to prosper in the late 30s.
The devil
and
take
early
his
40s
horsely soul.
Until World War II struck. Again, the committee questioned if they should continue the show, and they inquired of the War Department if they should, and the War Department said, yes, you must. You must continue Frontier Days for the morale of the troops in the surrounding area. So the Frontier Committee cowboyed up and launched Frontier Days all during the war.
Sometimes I forget how weird and wonderful the western United States is. Like, the Great Plains are so different from anywhere else in America. They have their own very unique character. Everything revolves around
By the late 30s
horses.
and early 40s, Cheyenne became known as the Big Show. Entertainers would come from all over to be a part of the daddy of them all. Cowboy movie legend John Wayne
God.
is seen here with three-time bucking champion Turk Greeno. But possibly the biggest star in Cheyenne's history is Sally Rand. She was a beautiful blonde, a blonde fan dancer who took this town of the West, the Wild West, and tamed it right in the palm of her hand.
The plane landed, and Sally Rand was getting off the plane.
Dick Pickett.
I was running out towards the plane, and I fell flat on my face on the runway, and Sally said, well, that's the first man to fall for me in Cheyenne.
No matter how big the stars, they wanted to come to Cheyenne. On the left, that's Arthur Godfrey with then Governor Millward Simpson. Doc and Festus, two actors in the television program Gunsmoke, have been there. Stars came to Cheyenne to enjoy the show and to promote their
It's
movie.
a shame how
And that included stars like then
Native
actor from
Americans are just like
Hollywood,
props.
Reagan had performed in a lot of
At this
Western
point in
movies.
history.
And how much more authentically Western could you get
in any
than
sort
by
of
coming
white
to
person
Cheyenne?
event.
Cheyenne was the place to be.
All of Hollywood came. They discovered the West. They discovered Frontier Days. They discovered what wonderful free publicity Frontier Days was for them.
Oh, Bella must not be here
Frontier Days,
anymore.
I'd like to have them come. They would publicize.
She's usually
their
the first to
movie.
boo Ronald
They
Reagan.
were, squired around town in grand style. One year, the Lone Ranger came. It was the 15th anniversary of the radio program. Frontier Days launched into national prominence.
This is Casey Tibbs of Fort Pierre, South Dakota. He was one of the biggest stars in Cheyenne's history. A bronc champion. He was a star across the country. And then there was Jim Shoulders, a cowboy from Henrietta, Oklahoma. He became an all-around champion in 1955. He won 4 Cheyenne titles. It was here that he and Casey became friends.
You missed Ronald Reagan.
I saw one of my childhood heroes.
He came to Frontier Days.
And that was Casey Tibbs. Casey Tibbs was standing there talking with a group of men, and I decided I'd walk up and introduce myself.
Thank you,
I
thank
very
you.
cautiously walked up to him and introduced myself, shook his hand. He was very congenial, and I turned and walked away and noticed in the other corner of the deck there stood Jim Shoulders. Right there on the same deck, the same day, same time, 2 of the all-time greats of rodeo were standing there. So I decided to try to get a picture taken with myself and these 2 gentlemen. Went and asked both of them, and they agreed, and I stood in between them and had a picture taken. And after the picture was taken, they turned and shook hands with one another. Jim Shoulder said, I guess this is about the first time in 20 years that we've spoken to one another. And as it turned out, they had not gotten along very well for some time. And that was the first time they had talked in a great number of years, and they stood and chatted for about 15 minutes there on the deck that day.
The Sioux Indians participated in the early days of Cheyenne Frontier Days. From left to right is Chief High Eagle, Charlie Red Cloud, Charlie Stabber, and Mr. Blackhorn. In 1920, the Arapaho Indian squaws participated in the first and only teepee races. Indians have been associated with Frontier Days since 1898. That man there is Chief Big Nose, one of the more interesting participants. But the most fascinating of all the Indian stories centers around a young Indian princess. Her name was Princess Bluewater. Her real name was Mrs. Rosa Coffee. She received her Indian name from Buffalo Bill. Princess Bluewater served as an interpreter for the Indians because many of the Indians attending Cheyenne Frontier Days in those early days weren't able to speak English.
I think it's a very special thing. I'm very thankful to God, our Creator, for making me an Indian because He put in my heart the love for the land.
Since 1980, the Southern Plains tribal dancers have been a part of Cheyenne.
We would entertain ourselves by singing and dancing and telling the Indian stories of long ago. And I learned my heritage through that, by the stories. And I really, truly believe my stories of my people.
Native Americans always have been and always will be a colorful and historic part of Cheyenne Frontier Days. Chuck wagon racing officially was introduced in Cheyenne in July of 1952. The Chucks, better known as Thunder from the North, soon became a popular event at Cheyenne. And along the way, there was thoroughbred and chariot racing. But as seen here, the chariot racing became extremely dangerous. Drivers became injured. Several were killed. It was the danger.
Chariot racing is extremely dangerous.
Even the death that doomed the chariot racing.
Like, people died filming Ben-Hur.
It's quite a sport. It's an exciting sport. It's a dangerous sport. It takes a lot of skill, takes a big investment, a lot of horses, but it's exciting. Horse racing was very popular at Cheyenne. It just seemed like horse racing, fast horses, and rodeos.
The 1925 version of Ben-Hur is one of my favorite
just one Chuck wagon
silent
race.
Movies.
It will leave a lifelong.
I don't think any people died during the chariot race filming of that movie, but several horses did. And some extras drowned during the naval battle scenes. And then I think one guy died in the 50s Ben-Hur. I don't know. There used to be a lot more risk involved in filmmaking
is Chuck wagon
before
racing.
CG.
It's a competition that carries over from the days of the Old West, when the ranchers used to compete with each other just for the fun of it.
They tell the story that originally this was the different ranch outfits. You know, they'd get the old chuck wagon going and they'd race into town for beer, or they'd race somewhere else. And at the cattle roundups, they also say it was a lot of the chuck wagon outfits that did race from to get into town, that sort of a thing. That probably was the origination of it. As far as now, of course, it's strictly a sport, and it really is. It's a great sport.
Chuck wagon racing consists of two outriders, the man with a stove and the man in the front who's going to hold this team of 4 thoroughbred horses together. Once the stove is on the back of the chuck wagon, the race is off. The other outrider helps the horses to stay together as they turn the barrels. They turn in a figure 8 on the infield, then roar past the grandstand in pursuit of $80,000 in prize money. The driver, the wagon, the horses, they all become one. And one of the finest of the drivers is 64-year-old Orville Strangquist, who appreciates what his horses do to lead him to victory.
They've got to want to turn them barrels. They love that turning the barrels just as much as we do. And it's in your blood. You've got to try. And there's nobody, I don't think, out there scared, but it wouldn't be no good to if you were out there afraid. It's a thrill. Even if you're tipping over or something, it's still a thrill.
The thrill of Cheyenne.
This tape is from 1996.
The driver, the horses, all waiting, the sound of the gun.
I feel like they're these old-time cowboy types. They're still around, but there are probably a lot fewer of them than there were even in 1996. This is basically chariot racing. You're just trailing a big iron stove behind you. Daddy of them all lives on.
As the years passed, so the legend of Cheyenne grew. From the early days of the milking races to the wild horse race, these were some of the events that shaped Cheyenne Frontier Days. The wild horse race began in 1947. Some people say it always has been the wildest event in Cheyenne.
It is very Back to the Future, yeah.
Herd of wild horses running free in the foothills of the Rocky Mountains.
Like I heard,
but for 1 week every
when the song started, there was a little
da 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 da. Wild horses. He brings them up to Cheyenne.
Just slightly legally distinct.
For the wildest race known to man.
Fun knee horse? Is it going to be fun knee horse?
Each year during the Cheyenne Frontier Days celebration, cowboys have the opportunity to try to tame these wild horses. It's a job that requires absolute concentration.
We knock everything else out of our mind, women, whatever. We knock it out of our mind and we think wild horse racing. We think of what other horses have done.
We think only about horses and men.
And then we go after it.
A saddle, a couple of cowboys, a couple of wild horses. We're ready for a wild horse race. We just need someone to start it. It seems so simple. Just simply put a saddle on the back of your horse. Ask him to hold still for a moment. This is obviously going to be a test of skill and of luck.
Your first part of your wild horse race is all your skill. After you get on, you got to be lucky to get around, and that makes sure no other horses come back around, turn you back, and make you come the wrong way. That's your lucky part.
Once you've saddled your horse, all you need to do is hold on. Yes, sometimes you hold on for dear life.
Oof.
So you've taken a little fall. So your horse has stepped on your head.
Morning, Dishnat.
You better get up.
Good to see you
Your friends
here.
have paid hundreds of dollars for you to get on the back of this friendly horse and ride around the track. That's the rules of the wild horse race. Get up, Mike.
Why would you get up after having had the bell rung once? Why would you get up? Because you were still a little goofy when you started down the track.
Wild horse race, you got to get her done. Your buddies will give you heck if you don't.
Peer pressure.
So your horse stepped on you. You have to go once around the track. It's a 1 mile track. Did I remember to tell you these horses don't know north from south?
You fear, another horse bucking into you or going under somebody's rope, tangling up, falling, but well, when you're out there, that adrenaline starts flowing, and that's all she wrote.
Did he say she? Meet 3 young nurses from Cheyenne, determined to ride these wild horses.
To have fun. It's fun out there. It's an adrenaline rush. That's all there is to it.
North, guys, north!
Today, our nurses have a beautiful paint horse to ride. But as man has learned many years ago, that which is beautiful is not always easy to tame. And just because you whisper sweet nothings in a horse's ear doesn't mean that horse is going to like it.
Yeah, that dude they were interviewing a second ago, like, got straight up stepped on in the face.
Away. Nurse Trudy Kaiser holds on for dear life. That wild horse is dragging her right back to the hospital where she works. Trudy, why did you hold on?
Why? We wanted to ride him. He slowed down and then he took off faster. That's when I lost him. I thought I'd hang on to him. If I could hang on to him till he slowed down. But he didn't slow down after he did for a second, and he took off again.
Yes, many a cowboy has tried to hold on to convince.
We were watching, by the way, 100 Years of Cheyenne Frontier Days. The daddy of them all. Registered trademark.
The winner is the one who gets his horse to go all the way around the track and
Fonzie?
the finish line first. And while he's collecting his winnings, there's someone else who's just now getting started.
Cheese horse.
The Cheyenne Frontier Days Wild Horse Race. It truly is an adventuresome return to the Wild West. Ask any kid when they're leaving Cheyenne Frontier Days, and they'll tell you the thing they remember most are the clowns.
Funny car.
The first rodeo clown was Dan Dix back in 1916. The clown's job has been the same through the years. Keep you laughing and be of assistance.
I would say my most important job here at Cheyenne now is to, when there's any a dead spot or law, I'm going to fill it one way or another.
Be a clown. All the world loves a clown. Show 'em tricks, tell 'em jokes, and you only stop with top folks.
How long did it take you to get that little white dog to the point of where he is one of the stars?
There was a TV show about rodeo clowns.
Not Phyllis Diller now. Don't get her mixed up.
Baskets.
Actually, I didn't do it. I can't train myself. I tried it
With Zach Galifianakis. We watched the first few episodes of it in like 2016.
Be a clown, be a clown.
I don't know if anybody else has watched it.
Cheyenne has become notorious for its incredible parades. The first real parade took place in 1898 with Buffalo Bill and his Wild West show.
Yeah,
right
Louis Anderson
the center of town.
was the mom, I think.
But as the years have progressed, the parade has developed into a well-organized celebration of America's history. In 1927, the Union Pacific Railroad sent a junior-sized freight train to the celebration.
A steam train?
Music, carriages, and later cars filled the streets of Cheyenne. It's a parade that's an essential part of the celebration.
Cheyenne Frontier Days, of course, started in 1897. There really wasn't a parade that first year, at least not an organized parade. But many of the spectators at that first rodeo were what you call a trapped audience. That's because many of the cowboys just galloped down 16th Street and lassoed the young maidens and took them out to their rodeo. I guess they wanted to ensure that they had someone there to watch. The second year, Buffalo Bill was here with his large show, so there was a big parade. There really wasn't another parade until Frontier Days was 25 years old, which would have been in 1921. At that time, the newfangled automobile was coming in, and people were beginning to get rid of their carriages. Now, the modern parade, I think, is really quite awesome. We have 4 parades each time we have Frontier Days. And the parade goes down what I think is one of the prettiest streets in the United States. It starts in front of our state capitol with its gold dome, and it proceeds south toward the Union Pacific Depot, a building made out of flagstone and quite historic. It's truly beautiful.
And of course, you haven't been to Cheyenne until you've been to a Cheyenne Frontier Days pancake breakfast. There's nothing like it.
Come on, move it, let's go, let's show, let's rodeo ready. Hey, Rudy, how are ya? Welcome to Cheyenne Frontier Days.
Through the years, bull riding has become one of the keynote events of Cheyenne. It started as steer riding back in 1906.
That does register in my memory as a feature of like
bulls and steers for
church pancake dinners as a kid, being yelled at by a silly old man.
Now more than 200 bull riders converge every July in Cheyenne to compete for well over $10,000 as the top prize. If you're a bull rider,
not happy.
If you want to be recognized as a champion, then you have to come to Cheyenne.
Yeah, those clowns are really going toe-to-toe with that bull.
Daddy of them all is where you'll have the greatest bull riding in the world.
The daddy of them all.
It's one of the better rodeos in the world, and you know all the cowboys that's riding bulls at rodeos come here. You know, and it just pays good, and it's one of the best rodeos in the world. So if you rodeo at all, you make Cheyenne.
Congrats on winning bingo.
Man,
Points for you.
At the age of 34, came out of retirement. He won so much money in Cheyenne, he made it to the national finals, where the bull 018 promptly broke his nose. 8-time world champion Donnie Gay of Mesquite, Texas, had been in retirement until 1986, when the lure of old Cheyenne brought him back into the arena.
Are you maybe just a little bit nervous?
Well, yeah. There's no, of course, you're going to get nervous whether you've been riding every day or not, but you kind of get in the groove. And when you're not riding, you're a little bit out of sync, so you need to, I have to take a little bit more time and say, hey, I'm fixing to get on a bull. It's still real dangerous. Doesn't really matter who you are. They don't read the press clippings in bulls, and so it'll still just be one jump at a time, and shouldn't look any different than any other time you've seen Donnie Gay ride.
Donnie Gay did not have a spectacular or memorable ride in 1986, but he did stay aboard his bull for the full 8 seconds. Donnie Gay is one of the proud champions of Cheyenne, having won the bull riding championship in 1977. Rule number 1 in Cheyenne: always expect the unexpected. It's 1981. It's the short go, the final championship round. This is local hero Dennis Humphrey on the bull B47. He has a successful ride.
Ooh.
Then, much like a rocket launcher, B47 puts Dennis Humphrey high into the air. Yes, he won a lot of money, and he also had a most memorable ride.
What happened at the very end of the ride after you'd already scored so well?
Well, my get-off wasn't planned so good. I thought I was ready to get off, then I just didn't get off so well as I thought, and I fell down. That bull turned around, stuck a horn in my belly, and just flipped me. Didn't hurt me, just picked me up at the end of a horn, flipped me probably, 7-8 feet in the air, threw me plumb out of the TV picture.
God, bulls are powerful.
Seemed like a long ways up there. But
what goes through your mind at the moment of that happened?
Wish he'd throw me plumb over the fence so I wouldn't have to come down the same arena.
Cheyenne Frontier Days has become noted for capacity crowds. And one of the reasons the fans come back year after year is for the bull riding. Bull riding continues to flourish more.
Why do they even try to wear a hat?
It is not only one of the most popular events in Cheyenne, it's one of the most popular events in America. It's a combination of truly athletic ability with a style. There is no question that you have to be an athlete in top condition.
Thing landed on his back.
Part of the game.
Well, they're dangerous, but that's
Dr. Skip Ross
coming. There's for the rodeo contestant himself. There's a rush in doing these dangerous things. Why do people climb mountains? And you're always going to have that, but I think they get a certain adrenaline rush out of it. But the thing is, I've really learned so much through bull riders only, and being around the bull riders so much, that it's more than just jumping on and hanging on. They really are talented athletes, and And there's a skill to what they do, and the really good ones make it look so easy. And so yeah, it's when they get into trouble. I talk to them about training a lot of times, and they're like, I don't need to train to do this. This is true. I said, what you need it for is when you get in trouble. That might help hold you together, because with
is there a special
when you're going to get hurt, it's just
certification you get to be a rodeo doctor?
Even an easy bull can become dangerous.
Is it MDR?
Tuff Hedeman is on a bull who really is not all that tough. But a simple mistake puts Tuff Hedeman in a world of danger. The world champion was hung up on the bull number 100.
Oh no.
Even Tuff Hedeman found that just a little mistake in Cheyenne can lead you into big trouble. As Dr. Voss said, it's not if you're going to get hurt, it's when and how bad. One of the most memorable rides in the history of Cheyenne occurred in 1989. This is Marty Stannard on the bull Mr. T. He had never been ridden before. Marty Stannard, with the greatest ride in the history of Cheyenne, rides the unrideable Mr. T in July of 1989. But just moments before, something else happened that day that will never be forgotten. Cheyenne Frontier Days is 100 years old, but its history is marked forever by two bull riding world champions, Tuff Hedeman and his partner Lane Frost. They have written a part of history that will outlive all of us.
This tape is so intense.
Tuff Hedeman on the left, Lane Frost on the right. A couple of kids.
I like his pilgrim hat.
Big dreams of winning world championships. July 30th, 1989, 3:30 in the afternoon, Cheyenne Frontier Days. The bull, bad to the bone, severed an artery to Lane Frost's heart.
Jesus.
He died on the arena floor in front of his friend Tuff Hedeman.
Oh, no.
Hedeman would go on to win the world's championship, but he could never forget the sight of Lane Frost.
I don't know that there's ever, an hour, maybe a minute that doesn't go by that something flashes of the past, where every town I show up to, I can, towns that I've been to before, rodeos I've been to before, that I'd always been to with him. And it just always automatically flashed to something that he did or we did or he said. People say that time heals everything. That will never heal in my mind, never.
A kid no more. It's amazing how tragedy will age you. Tuff Hedeman was in the final round of Cheyenne Frontier Days. He had to ride one more bull, and he had to ride well. It was 6 years.
Oh, it's fine, Zelda-master.
Since his
there's a delay.
Frost had been killed in this arena, in this round of competition. He was consumed with a vision of memories.
God, okay, they're really
never had great success
illustrating the PTSD flashbacks in this exciting video.
6 years to the day after Lane Frost had been killed, Tuff Hedeman with one of the greatest rides of his illustrious career. It wasn't until the tears filled his eyes that Hedeman realized how much he had wanted this coveted prize.
This rodeo was never given much to me, and it took a lot away from me. This victory doesn't pale in comparison to what we lost here, but this one is really for him. As of 5 years ago,
show it again. God.
At this time, and like I said, I don't know that I ever wanted any victory more than I ever wanted this one today, and I haven't been that nervous in a long time.
Rick Chapman, the bullfighter who had been with Lane and now with Tuff, summarize this historic event.
It's a shame that it takes the world champion to give his life to create an ending like this, but
this is a really wild sport.
Full circle and it's all right again.
Tuff Hedeman, one of the greatest rides of his life, winning a championship in honor
it's pretty normal to just get killed by the thing you're riding, and then you will be eulogized by a clown. Like I said, the American West is
special place.
Weird and wonderful and strange.
A statue stands in Cheyenne as a memorial to Lane. and to all the other cowboys who have fallen in Cheyenne. Lane Frost, a champion in the arena, a champion in life. Cheyenne Frontier Days has gone through many changes in its first 100 years.
Hooray, we're happy again.
As simply an idea in a traveling businessman's head, it has turned into an annual celebration that recaptures the spirit of an era gone by, of a time when the West was truly wild, when we lived for the Pony Express, when we didn't know what a traffic jam was all about. It started out as an opportunity for
You knew what a traffic jam was, you just didn't really grok it.
Where folks could come to camp for a day or two. The early grandstands that surely would not stand the test of time that lasted themselves almost 100 years. Cheyenne, through the years, has lost none of its magic. It stands as a testament to the determination and spirit of the wild, wild West. The setting has changed, the times are modern, the stands are new, concrete and steel structures. Hopefully they'll last another century. The contestants no longer ride for $5. They don't come by carriage, they take corporate jets. But through the years, the history, the tradition, has made Cheyenne the daddy of them all.
Cheyenne is very different than any other rodeo. And we do some 25 rodeos in 50
Daddy of them all.
And I've been to the major rodeos across the country. But Cheyenne is just so different in that there's so much going on, so many people involved, and you can't compare it to any other rodeo.
You get 300,000 plus people coming in through the city in a 10-day period. It's a multi-million-dollar impact. Some businesses make 25 or more % of their business in that 10-day period. So obviously it's a high impact time. And it has put a stamp on our community. It's a signature, if you will, that's very unique. Nobody else can match us with that kind of atmosphere, the volunteerism. You know, people can't believe that 2,000 people give up their time to produce this rodeo. Not only for the 10 days, but virtually year-round.
I think Cheyenne Frontier Days is to the events in Wyoming as Yellowstone is to our national parks. It's our premier event. It's the one thing that has international appeal. It doesn't matter where we go in the world. Everybody has heard of Cheyenne Frontier Days.
I think it's the excitement, the involvement. It's no other show like it in the world. It's one of the big spectaculars, and it's just growing and growing and continuing to grow and bigger and better.
It was Cheyenne Frontier Days that we all gauged our time by. How long since the daddy? How soon till we see you in Cheyenne again?
How long until the daddy?
The Cheyenne Frontier Days celebration. It's lasted 100 years. 19 men have been president during those years. It's an event that has survived
all men.
The Depression. It has survived 2 world wars. It's a place where presidents, politicians, and movie stars have come to congregate. And every year, the last week of July, Cheyenne Frontier Days, even though it's a modern time, recreates and relives the Wild West.
I mean, yeah, hopefully they wear more helmets now. Although a helmet will not save you from being gored through an artery.
It started out as a rodeo to call people's attention to the magic city of the plains. It has become the daddy of them all. Cheyenne Frontier Days, 100 years of reliving America's Wild West.
How many times did they say the daddy of them all? Oh, they mandated protective vests after Lane Frost died. Well, the George Michael Sports Machine was proud to bring you 100 years of Frontier Days. This music feels kind of Tactics Ogre. Like I feel like I'm assembling my party. Don Stumpo. Old Don Stumpo. And old Colleen Clapp. I really should have just recorded this whole tape so I could more easily make the daddy of them all supercut. Tough Hedeman, Donnie Gay, dandies. Just the concept of dandies. It's a shame the tape is a little wiggly. I do think that's mechanical, like it's a tension issue on the tape itself. But who knows? The George Michael Sports Machine. What a logo. What? Oh, okay. The George Michael Sports Machine. We're just gonna hold. We're just appreciating the machine. Oh, there we go. Wow. That was really something. We did see a man die, and they did kind of treat it, I mean, sort of respectfully, but also kind of it felt gratuitous to just show him getting gored, like in instant replay. Felt like a really cheap way to try and drum up the emotional response to the subsequent victory by what's his name. Anyway, that was 100 Years of Cheyenne Frontier Days. I found that in a thrift store in, oh Lord, I don't know, somewhere in Appalachia. So, we have coming up later, once the recording cuts off, a Kirk Franklin. And we also had a request from Facebook for Steam. It has indeed been quite a while since we've seen the music video for Steam. Too long? I wouldn't say that, but a long time. Let's do it. And I will figure out some options for our next tape. Laugh with the dreamer's dream.
You know your culture from your trash. You know your plastic from your cash. When on the side of the track, you know the way back. But I know you. You know you're stripper from your pain. You know you're sinner from your sin.
I don't know if I should read the tape that I'm holding now to the tune of a pop song. On September 11th, 2001, the United States was attacked by terrorists at the World Trade Center Twin Towers, the Pentagon, and Shanksville, Pennsylvania. Yeah, no, we're not, I don't know if that's the thing to do here.
It's gonna get dark soon.
These are some good, some well-timed stand backs. We have 2 tapes that we could watch today. That we could watch next. Oh, or we could have a fun diversion with whatever y'all want to see. Courtesy of Green Day. Green Day, you will be the decider. Let me know if we need a poll here. All right, we got a nomination for Bells and Whistles. What else? Bells and Whistles, Bones, Hammer Time. I would also suggest that somebody nominate one of the newer songs that we haven't heard much of. Squiggle Stop. Okay. You didn't make me sing, Chase. You didn't make me do anything. Don't worry about it. I'm the one who made that choice. Hammer Time versus Bones. Get your votes in. Meanwhile, I will tell you, we have 2 tapes we can watch next. It is either Pretty Piggies, The Adventure Begins. The Pretty Piggies Find Fun and Adventure on the High Seas. Or Operation Enduring Freedom, America Fights Back from 2002. So while you ponder that choice, let's enjoy Hammer Time.
Hammer time. Oh yeah.
Step aside and watch me pound. Okay, I'm going to do a poll. Do you want 9/11 and then Piggies, or do you want Piggies and then 9/11? Get your votes in. I know. Look, I know it's a heavy subject. I'm not trying to make. I mean, we do make 9/11 jokes as a culture nowadays quite a lot. Like collectively, all of us. I'm not taking personal responsibility for this. It's generational. We've come a long way in processing our national trauma. This is a tape from 2002. It's like Donald Rumsfeld propaganda about this horrible tragedy and the military response. So it's probably going to be a little heavy to watch. But today is 9/11. So let's center ourselves. Try and appreciate the historical context. And if you don't want to watch 9/11 thing, I totally get it. Come back in 65 minutes when we will be watching Pretty Piggies: The Adventure Begins as a palate cleanser. So here we go. Let me read let me get us into this properly, so we can really think about the artifact that we're getting into. We've had Operation Christmas Child, Operation of Your Sunrise Slitter, and Operation Enduring Freedom. Experience battles from Mazar-e Sharif to Kandahar to Tora Bora to the heroism of Operation Anaconda. Produced with the cooperation of the United States Department of Defense and contains previously classified battle footage seen for the very first time. Good Lord. All right. On September 11, 2001, the United States was attacked by terrorists at the World Trade Center, Twin Towers, the Pentagon, and Shanksville, Pennsylvania. 3,000 Americans would die that day, surpassing the death toll at Pearl Harbor. America would strike back, assembling an unprecedented Allied retaliation force, an operation called Operation Enduring Freedom. Hooray, George W. Bush and Dick Cheney and Donald Rumsfeld, they're the American heroes. This awesome high-tech fury would be launched against the Taliban, Sheikh Omar, Osama bin Laden, and the forces of terrorism around the world, as represented by bin Laden's terrorist organization, Al-Qaeda. On September 20, 2001, President George W. Bush galvanized the nation to this mission by responding to September 11th, declaring the future war against terrorism and to rid the world of the evildoers of the Taliban, Sheikh Omar, and Osama bin Laden. All right, complex geopolitical subjects here on Golden VCR. War and tragedy and death on Golden VCR. This is probably not going to be the most respectful treatment of the September 11th attacks. We are archaeologists. I understand that what we're doing is potentially weird. I cannot endorse and do not endorse the content of this videotape. But I am interested to gaze back in time at perspectives from 22 years ago, shortly after this event, when the tragedy was still fresh, the war was still ongoing. It's been a wild time. Yeah. Thank you for that, Haley92. That is a good point. Please be aware. Or it could just be a black screen for the whole time. And then, then we don't have to watch this at all. How interesting. You heard Sledgehammer on the radio again. Oh, my God. Wanna be Sledgehammer. Yeah, welcome to the next tonal shift in this stream.
It was a time of chaos and courage, of enemies and heroes.
We'll go to a different war.
Attack to the storm of battle. See the choices that made history and the faces that witnessed it all. Experience the real-life drama that changed America forever.
Pearl Harbor. 7 Views of Defiance. Own it today on VHS.
This is from TLC, I guess, which used to be the Learning Channel.
Experience
before it was the Honey Boo Boo Channel.
Witness the mystery.
God.
Uncover the possibilities.
I guess it's not even the Honey Boo Boo Channel anymore.
With Artisan Home Entertainment and Family Home Entertainment, bring home amazing and provocative videos and DVDs.
Hal, welcome.
Featuring real-life adventure from Discovery.
Mummies will be around forever.
Fascinating creatures on Animal Planet.
Just a little
and humanity pushed to its limits.
Just a little propaganda from the George W. Bush era about the invasion of Iraq.
You darn right it was
or
fair.
sorry, Afghanistan.
Your world.
Totally different.
They're connecting like crazy.
The promos are very telling. Like, this is some schlocky stuff.
Entertainment and Family Home Entertainment in stores everywhere.
The feature presentation. We learned about the daddy of them all, Cheyenne Frontier Days. So there's been a lot of daddies.
Are marked by their memorable moments.
Boo.
At the height of peril to his own nation, Winston Churchill spoke of their finest hour. Who will ever forget the display of national unity on the steps of the Capitol building? People will long remember seeing and hearing the members of Congress spontaneously breaking out into God Bless America. For a long time to come, Americans will take pride and feel gratitude for how nobly and professionally our military and civilian personnel have responded here at the Department of Defense. I have been in public life for a long time, and if there's one lesson I have learned from it, it is this: believe in the American people. Believe in them especially when trouble starts, when the crisis comes. Believe in them to act worthy of their past, to act worthy of the future of peace and freedom they want for their children. We extend our condolences and ask God's tender mercies on our fallen comrades and their loved ones. And we ask His blessing and guidance as we turn to the work of defending this nation and preserving human freedom.
If tomorrow all the things were gone, I've worked for all my
Is this a non-Lee Greenwood copyright adjacent rendition? This is very 2002. Those of you who are, yeah, it's probably going to get copyright claimed. Those of you who are around in 2002 in America are probably remembering. If you weren't there, or maybe, you know, I was like 12 growing up in Alabama, so it was very, very staunchly Republican. Everyone ate all this stuff up. Like, It was so over the top. Just incredibly over the top. You're looking at this thinking, oh my God, how over the top is this? That was the norm.
America at peace. New York City, America's great metropolis at rest.
Yeah, rest in peace to those who died on this day, and fuck Donald Rumsfeld for using it to
as America awakens on the morning
aims.
of September 11th, 2001. A cataclysm of immense magnitude.
God, yeah. We watched
have attacked the World Trade Center.
We watched
and the Pentagon.
A guy get gored by a bull.
American economic
and they gratuitously replayed it.
3,000 people died that day, more than on any one day in U.S. history.
Of the United States.
No one likes seeing the footage of the planes flying into the Twin Towers. Like,
tonight, the United States of America
really
makes the following demands.
I'm really hoping they don't gratuitously replay it.
Deliver to United States authorities all the leaders of Al-Qaeda who hide in your land. Release all foreign nationals, including American citizens you have unjustly imprisoned. Protect foreign journalists, diplomats, and aid workers in your country. Close immediately and permanently every terrorist training camp in Afghanistan, and hand over every terrorist and every person in their support structure to appropriate authorities. Give the United States full access to terrorist training camps so we can make sure they are no longer operating.
God, there was so much talk about terrorist training camps.
Are not open to negotiation or discussion.
I was at a YMCA camp with my 6th grade class.
Pentagon, I have a message for our military. Be ready.
We all crowded into the cafeteria and watched the news on TV. And then we were still at camp for like a day or two more.
And you will make us proud.
America prepares to confront its foes, the Taliban theocracy in Afghanistan and Osama bin Laden's terror network, Al-Qaeda.
Yeah, God. The jingoism was, again, in Alabama in 2001, 2002. This is like a cheesy rock song, but the lyrics are like lifted straight out of a North Korean propaganda song.
America?
With a few words
Since
changed.
World War II, a chasm has opened up between America and the Islamic world brought on by the Arab-Israeli conflict, the Iranian Revolution, the war in Afghanistan, and the 1991 Gulf War to liberate Kuwait.
There's a lot of, like...
The first trigger of Arab and Muslim rage was U.S. support for the founding of the State of Israel in May 1948.
Oh, they're tying it into...
And its subsequent victories over the neighboring Arab countries. In the Six-Day War of June 1967, Israel came to control the West Bank, the Gaza Strip, and the Golan Heights. This victory further intensified the Palestinian refugee problem and fueled Arab anger at Israel and its principal ally, the United States. The 1979 Camp David Accords, signed by Egyptian President Sadat, Israeli Prime Minister Begin, and President Jimmy Carter, reduced the level of discord, although the status of East Jerusalem and Palestinian statehood remained unresolved.
It's a good thing
The assassination of President Sadat
America
would be a
fights
rude
back.
awakening to the realities of Islamic extremism.
It's a good thing nothing bad happened as a result of this, and we fixed all the problems.
Meanwhile, Islamic radicalism had taken root in Iran with the Shah's overthrow and the takeover of the U.S. Embassy by Ayatollah Khomeini's Islamic Revolutionary Guards. The images of Americans held hostage for 444 days would be part of the world's consciousness. These events would parallel the 1979 Soviet invasion of Afghanistan to prop up the communist Afghan government. In response, America supported the Mujahideen, the holy warriors, to fight jihad against the atheist Soviet Union.
We sure did.
This unleashing of Islamic fervor would result in the defeat and withdrawal of the Soviet forces in 1989.
We sure did give a lot of money and weapons to that Osama bin Laden guy.
Islam as a catalyst to harm the Soviets, the U.S. soon became victim to the religious fanaticism it had unleashed. This became known as blowback. Another trigger of Islamic anger was America's involvement in the Gulf War. On August 2nd, 1990, Saddam Hussein of Iraq invaded Kuwait and unleashed
Already talking about Saddam.
Against an innocent.
They were talking about Saddam real early. We didn't invade Iraq until a year after this tape was produced.
President George Bush organized a multinational coalition of forces based in Saudi Arabia at the invitation of King Fahd.
I'm remembering a lot of things about
The war launched in January 1991.
growing up in a post
resulted
9/11
in Iraq's
Alabama.
expulsion from Kuwait.
Yeah, like all the
and
cheesy
Hussein's
patriotism
military
stuff. That's way over the
Yet
top.
The war's impact was destabilizing
The
because it caused great suffering to
just
the Iraqi
worship
people,
of the military
which triggered
and
widespread anti-American sentiments.
all of this effort to like
More important, the radical
give
Islamists
everyday
rejected
American
the
people that
stationing
don't know
of
shit
non-Muslim
about
US-led forces
geopolitics
in Saudi Arabia,
in the Middle East.
considering it a desecration of Islamic Holy Land by
This
infidel troops.
huge attempt to imbue them with certain opinions
Culmination
about
of
why this was
rage
happening.
Was Al-Qaeda and its dedication to take vengeance by attacking America.
In a way that's like really tied in with themes of Zionism and a lot of like anti-Islamic sentiment. Anyway, it was a
Yet
wild
September
time.
11th
It's still a
was
wild
not
time.
the first time that America would face the wrath of extremist Islamists. In April 1983, the U.S. Embassy in Beirut, Lebanon was truck-bombed by Hezbollah, the Party of God, Shiite terrorists supported by Iran's theocratic regime. In October 1983, Hezbollah once again struck America when a suicide truck bomber destroyed the Marine barracks at Beirut Airport, killing 241 soldiers.
Beirut. Well, there's going to be a lot of death in this stream.
Another episode of mass terror against America was the bombing of Pan Am 103 over Lockerbie, Scotland, just before Christmas 1988, killing returning students and military personnel.
Yeah, this was the whole thing for
precursor of 9/11 was
Tony
the
Blair.
bombing of the World
Right.
Trade Center in February 1993. 6 people would die and hundreds were injured. This was the first act of terrorism brought to American shores by Muslim extremists, led by Ramzi Youssef. America remained complacent, although it was on a collision course with a growing phalanx of Islamist militants, demonstrated by the 1995
a
bombing
very prevalent theme in all of this propaganda from this time was
of the El Khobar Towers, claiming
like
26
they were really making a point to characterize this to like highlight what religion the terrorists were.
the removal of the U.S. political and military presence from Saudi Arabia.
And that had some not great knock-on effects at home and abroad.
Soon this battle was brought to the shores of East Africa, when in a coordinated attack, the U.S. embassies in Kenya and Tanzania were truck bombed in July 1998, claiming close to 300 lives. These were direct attacks on the sovereign territories of the U.S., but still, America failed to heed the warnings. In a daring operation, 2 suicide bombers rammed a dinghy full of explosives into the midship of USS Cole in Aden, Yemen, killing 19 sailors and incapacitating the pride of the U.S. destroyer fleet. Who were the architects of this global war on America? Al-Qaeda, a multinational organization of terrorist groups led by Osama bin Laden, one of 25 sons of a Saudi billionaire of Yemeni origin. In 1980, at the age of 27, Osama found a cause recruiting young Arabs to fight communism in Afghanistan. After claiming victory for Islam over the Soviets, bin Laden became enraged when King Fahd agreed to station U.S.-led coalition troops to fight Iraq in 1991. Forced to leave Saudi Arabia and then the Sudan in 1996, bin Laden was welcomed by the Taliban regime in Afghanistan. The Taliban regime is an ultra-conservative Islamist theocracy of mostly Pashtun tribesmen recruited from the madrasas, traditionalist religious schools.
Oh yeah.
With military and financial help.
It's interesting to watch this now when like
soon conquered most
the
of
Taliban are back in power. Like
a brutal tyranny led by Mullah
Afghanistan has returned to the status quo that existed before America fought back.
In pursuit of their autocratic belief in Islamic Puritanism, the Taliban outlawed music, destroyed museums, imposed inhuman restrictions on women who were prohibited from school.
Yeah, like war is just a fucking meat grinder.
Of the 2 giant Buddhas in Bamiyan province. An act condemned by world opinion.
That chews up human lives to
Al-Qaeda sustained each other in their shared allegiance to an extreme
shift
fundamentalist ideology.
money from like things that could be useful to society to like
and we will defend
Raytheon executives.
Our religion until we are alive, and we will not give any chance to anybody to interrupt or to disturb
war is a racket, folks.
rule in Kandahar and other surrounding provinces.
In the Afghan outback, bin Laden established Al-Qaeda as a global network of revolutionaries dedicated to fighting Muslim pro-West governments and the Western world led by America. Thousands of fighters were trained and indoctrinated in Al-Qaeda camps for dispatch to enemy countries on missions of terror. Blinded by hatred and convinced of the justice of their godly mission, these men welcomed death, which would assure them rewards in paradise. The madrasas were the schools where Al-Qaeda indoctrinated child warriors to fight the infidels. By the late 1990s, Al-Qaeda had become a truly global conspiracy with tentacles reaching dozens of countries. In his speeches and sermons, bin Laden expressed pride and divine sanction for Al-Qaeda's record of terrorism. And soon after 9/11, in a taped conclave of Al-Qaeda leaders, bin Laden joyfully and proudly admitted his epicentric role in engineering the World Trade Center and Pentagon
Are
bombing.
those subtitles saying bin Laden thought jet fuel couldn't melt steel beams?
Clearly, America was confronted
They
with
didn't
an
expect it to knock the building down? Jesus.
convinced that his terrorist mission was in keeping with God's will. In response to the 9/11 attacks, America would begin to assemble a coalition of allies to fight the Taliban and bring down bin Laden and his terrorist network.
We discussed the need to prepare for a full range of asymmetric threats, including terrorism,
Yeah,
attacks, advanced
American diplomacy at this point became
missiles, ballistic missiles,
entirely about
certainly weapons of mass destruction.
who supported the invasion of Afghanistan.
Each of these pose a threat to the
and who
alliance
didn't.
and to the members of the alliance.
There was just a lot of rhetoric about like which countries were on the shit list because they didn't love freedom.
Strategic location, it was essential to bring into the coalition nations that would provide bases to support U.S. military operations. Essential to the coalition
That's
would
how we
be
got
our traditional
freedom
European
fries.
allies, as well as Saudi Arabia and
An entirely made-up thing that no one ever actually went to a restaurant and ordered.
Pakistan would be particularly important because it was a hotbed of Taliban support and Islamic fundamentalists allied with bin Laden.
I want to go to McDonald's and order a quarter pounder and some freedom fries.
Military officers to Afghanistan to demand that the Taliban hand over bin Laden and his associates or face the military power of the United States. In a speech to the nation, President Bush declared that America wants Osama bin Laden dead or alive.
Was support of the U.S. invasion of Afghanistan reasonably popular in the UK? I just can't imagine why the average person would give a shit over there, other than like
The Taliban must act and act
the
immediately.
diplomatic ties, historical
They will hand
diplomatic
over the
ties.
terrorists, where they will share in their fate.
So why did Tony Blair do it
tonight directly
if it
to
was
Muslims
political
throughout the world.
suicide?
We respect your faith. It's practiced freely by many millions of Americans and by millions more in countries that America counts as friends. Its teachings are good and peaceful, and those who commit evil in the name of Allah blaspheme the name of Allah. The terrorists are traitors to their own faith, trying in effect to hijack Islam itself. The enemy of America is not our many Muslim friends. It is not our many Arab friends.
That was another very
Our
prominent
enemy is a
feature
radical
of
network of terrorists.
the rhetoric about
Every government that supports them.
the rhetoric about Islam at the time. Like no one ever said God. They named
30th,
they used
the United States has
the Arabic
amassed
name of
30,000
Allah
airmen, troops
or
and
Allah
sailors,
as like
300 warplanes
you know,
and 24
it's a
warships
different
in the
God.
Indian Ocean and the Persian Gulf, as President Putin brings Russia into the U.S. camp.
when like canonically they're supposed to be the same God.
1,000 troops trained for mountain warfare to Uzbekistan. On Sunday, October 7th,
But it's still very, like, in the mind of me as a 12-year-old, it very much made
bring Osama bin Laden
Allah
and
seem like
Al-Qaeda
this,
to
like,
justice.
you know, pagan god.
The United States and Great Britain launch airstrikes with long-range bombers
Which is,
and cruise missiles.
you know, an offensive suggestion.
Jalalabad and the Taliban stronghold in Kandahar.
To someone who, like, gives even the mildest shit about, like, theological precision. It's always good to blow up a building. Those were bad buildings.
Of these bombings are civilian casualties and destruction of residential areas.
Those buildings supported terrorism.
Osama bin Laden videotapes a statement to the world in which he states that America will not live in peace. Following up on the initial bombing of Afghan cities, American warplanes begin to attack Taliban troops in the field, concentrating on garrisons around Kabul. On October 19th, 100 special forces launched the first ground assault in Afghanistan, hitting an airfield and the Kandahar headquarters of Mullah Omar, the leader of the Taliban.
Give me some light. All right, RPG rounds. Ammo and everything.
American pilots, aided by forward air controllers, inflict heavy damage on the enemy forces on the northern front.
I vaguely recall, like, you know, my mom would be glued to the news when this stuff was happening during the invasion, and like,
the Northern Alliance is ready to roll.
it was a lot of coverage
The memory of their martyred leader, Ahmed Shah Massoud, still fresh in their
air supremacy and aerial bombings.
By Al-Qaeda on September 9th, 2 days
And
before
very
the
little
attack on the World Trade
that highlighted
After protracted U.S. bombing
the
runs,
gruesome realities
the Northern
of.
Alliance forces begin their move on the major cities.
There's very little coverage of like
U.S. Special
American
Forces would
troops,
prove
American ground
instrumental
troops
in this
dying or
assault.
anything like that. It was sort of, it highlighted, to quote the back of the box, this awesome high-tech fury that was launched against the Taliban. It was basically a, you know, an ad for all our cool planes and missiles.
On November 9th, the Northern Alliance takes Mazar-e-Sharif after intense and violent fighting, once more helped by U.S. forces and heavy bombing.
Yeah, I mean, this video began with a monologue by Donald Rumsfeld. This is not the most nuanced historical perspective. This was propaganda produced at the time. Like, it's really hard to defend it as anything other than propaganda when it was made during the invasion. To talk about how cool the invasion was.
The brutality of the Afghan tribal conflicts would come to the surface once more. The Taliban has gone on the defensive in all of the North, as America begins to ready its ground forces to support the Northern Alliance and to secure bases in the country.
Yeah, that's a good point, Chase. I think I'll have to do that. Just think. Pretty Piggies, the adventure begins.
With victories in the north by the Northern Alliance, the U.S. begins to set up air bases in order to secure the northern part of Afghanistan. One of the most important bases would be at Bagram, north of Kabul.
We're probably going to be rating Steven
presence within
playing
Afghanistan and reduce reliance
Subnautica.
for long-range strikes from other
So
locations.
I didn't want to roll directly into that
Bagram would
raid
also serve as a
from
launching
9/11
pad of
tape.
mobile strike forces throughout northern Afghanistan in order to secure the
I will say, like,
we're raid with platoon frontages.
The vibe of Golden VCR is the vibe of whatever tape we're watching.
Back over here.
The vibe of Twitch.tv/Stephen George is,
we're dug in. We're well defended.
I think, more like,
we're safe. We're good.
It's fun. We're playing a video game,
comes our way.
and not necessarily discussions of war and death and geopolitics. So I would respectfully ask you to just keep that difference in mind when you raid.
On November 16th, the holy month of Ramadan begins.
Keep it
While
fun.
American bombers continue one of the most intense and accurate bombing campaigns in modern military history.
We did kill a lot of people from the sky. That is something we were very good at in this war. If your metric is how many people did we kill from the sky, that number was pretty high. Hal, come quick! We're learning about the U.S. invasion of Afghanistan. This is a lot of gratuitous footage of killing people from the sky.
A scene of destruction and devastation prevailed as the cities of northern Afghanistan began to fall.
And for what, God damn it? I do feel genuinely angry. I don't have a time machine and a better geopolitical solution to employ after I use my time machine. But gee, war kind of sucks. Bella Bunny, let's not advocate time travel political violence.
Life slowly would return to normal on the streets and bazaars of the main cities.
Violence is not the solution. It's tempting and it seems easy, but it's not. It's not an easy solution. It doesn't actually fix anything. I mean, you can want to kill whoever you want to kill, but I
As the Taliban retreat,
all I'm saying is
warlords of Afghanistan's bloody past come out of the shadows.
Golden VCR rule, let's not advocate for political violence. In Command & Conquer Red Alert, the whole premise was that they went back in time and killed Hitler, and then they just got Stalin on the other side instead. We already tried it in the hit real-time strategy game Command & Conquer Red Alert.
The distribution of propaganda and money.
How dare they distribute propaganda? Oh no.
November 25th.
Is that the Taliban distributing their own version of Confederate money?
But thousands are unaccounted for.
Yeah, that's
falls, but over 400 Taliban and Al-Qaeda
that makes me angry too.
And opened fire on their Northern Alliance guards at Kalajanji prison near Mazar-e Sharif. The prison revolt at Kalajanji was crushed by the Northern Alliance, aided by U.S. and British forces.
A lot of people died for not a whole lot. It's almost like we didn't learn much from Vietnam. Has anyone ever watched Generation Kill? It's an HBO miniseries about the invasion of Iraq.
Hundreds of Taliban
it follows a group of Marines and a journalist.
It's reflected memories of tribal conflicts in Afghan history.
I haven't watched it since it came out. So much death. Thank you, tape. Like, it's just disrespectful. I don't know. Why is it okay for the tape to show us a bunch of dead Afghans, but they're refraining from showing us dead Americans? Aren't they equally bad? Isn't it equally repulsive?
Phil?
Yeah, I'm sure.
An American
I'm sure Vietnam
involved in the
has its
Kalajanji episode
problems.
that day was John
I'm not
Walker
endorsing their government because
a
I don't know
Taliban
anything about
fighter
it.
from Northern California.
Brother's name, you mean?
But
Frank.
modern day communist Vietnam seems
His journey
pretty
from
chill.
America to the madrasas of Pakistan would bring him to a tragic end.
Like you can go there as a tourist.
My father's name.
He is being held in a federal prison awaiting trial for consorting with the enemy.
America.
We found a person who says he's an American with an AK-47 in a prison with a bunch of Al-Qaeda and Taliban fighters.
That is great, Jess.
And he has been...
I'm really happy to hear about your IQ. I need. I think I did need a little bit of.
You can be certain he will have
something
all
else.
the rights he is due.
A CIA officer, Johnny Michael Spahn, is killed in the revolt.
For building up and loading triads.
The American military switches its attention to humanitarian relief as one of the largest food programs in history is launched to avert famine and starvation of millions of people during the Afghan winter.
Night or day, depending on your delivery by air. Right now, we're just looking primarily at C-17. You can reach that. Plus, the C-17 has a
Oh, really? Can I get a picture of this?
You know, just to say my thought process out loud, I actually maybe do regret screening this on September 11th because it's kind of the tape itself and by extension screening it is kind of
Between October 7 and December 21 of last year, some 162
disrespectful, like extremely disrespectful.
2.5
the whole
million,
concept of
rations,
using 9/11 as a justification to
73,000 blankets
launch this huge
during
invasion.
the period that they were active combating the Taliban and Al-Qaeda forces.
But no one wanted to watch this. It was only going to happen today. It does have 9/11 on the cover.
A massive bombing of Kandahar, the Taliban stronghold, commences with all the military might and technology of the United States. Special forces once more would be involved from the ground in the campaign. Among
Definitely,
the high-tech
yeah.
tools used by the
I mean, I do
States,
earnestly and sincerely. I'm watching this because, like, it's one of the interesting things about Golden VCR to me is the time capsule element and the history. So, yeah, I just wanted to acknowledge that I am not without, like, a little bit of ick showing stuff like this. But as a reminder, screening something on Golden VCR does not mean that we're endorsing its content.
Once more, the accuracy and intensity of the U.S. bombing campaign in Afghanistan would bring the Taliban to heel.
Okay, more gratuitous shots of killing people from the air. I do think it's important and was often glossed over at this point in history. Like, whether you think Donald Rumsfeld was an asshole or not, every shot of a building blowing up from a missile launched from the air is probably multiple people dying. And regardless of your geopolitical opinions,
and he told me that
personally, I feel that it's important to
very successful.
retain
And now it's up
respect
to the Taliban to make
for
their official
human life
announcement.
being lost.
And we
Like,
should be
you should
expecting
not.
something tonight.
That's not a light thing.
Or probably tomorrow.
That's not like a fuck yeah, Call of Duty, we blew it up
Mullah Omar
thing.
disappears. Recovering from devastation, the city would gradually return to life. Once Kandahar fell after a series of negotiations, it became obvious that the airport at Kandahar would have to be secured in order to have a defensive perimeter around the city. In addition, this base would serve as the launch pad for American forces to attack the Taliban and Al-Qaeda in the mountainous areas of the Afghan-Pakistan border that offer natural protection for the Taliban-Al-Qaeda fighters. Camp Rhino would offer all the defensive and offensive elements to protect the gains of the victory in Kandahar. Barracks for the troops, helicopter launch pads for fast strike units, warehouses for depot and supply, and landing strips for jets. Camp Rhino would secure the gains in southern Afghanistan.
Yeah, it's hard sometimes. Like, I think we're all just really,
continued to return to normal.
A lot of us, I think, at least, are feeling very burnt out on just the world, feeling really fucked up all the time. It's hard to have empathy and hope.
The search for bin Laden and Mullah Omar continues.
You gotta find it somewhere.
They are nowhere to be found. And the multi-million-dollar reward money for both men remains in place.
Made the wanted poster in fucking Microsoft Word. Jesus Christ.
Do you believe it's possible the U.S. may never get Osama bin Laden?
Oh, you're trying to get me to do it again.
Well, I'm just trying to clear up the semantics of the situation.
Are you? Well, I think we're going to get him. How's that?
A major target of the American war effort are the mountains of Tora Bora, a refuge for the Taliban and their Al-Qaeda allies. A massive bombing campaign would begin in December 2001. Ground air controllers would help direct the bombing. After intensive bombings, America's anti-Taliban allies began their attack to flush out their enemies from the caves of Tora Bora.
More footage of aerial bombardment.
They don't want to surrender themselves because they like to kill themselves, but they don't like to surrender themselves.
Thank you.
Many of the prisoners, some wounded, would be paraded for the worldwide camera. Al-Qaeda prisoners from Tora Bora and elsewhere would be sent to Guantanamo Bay in Cuba for detention, where they would await a planned military tribunal.
Right. All the
civil libertarians, as well as liberals and conservatives, would criticize those tribunals as a violation of the United States Constitution.
Yeah, we did a lot of war crimes. We did a lot of bad stuff to prisoners during the early 2000s. Gee, I forgot about that.
The booty of war would be enormous, with ammunition, arms, computers, and hard drives.
It feels a little weird, even. So I'm remembering being 12 in Alabama
the
in
computers and hard
2001.
drives taken from the caves of Tora Bora would be extremely helpful for intelligence gathering.
And it was just entirely unthinkable, unconscionable to bring up any criticism whatsoever. If you question the motives for the invasion, or if you were just maybe it's bad to waterboard people, that meant you loved terrorism and you supported Al-Qaeda and you hated America. The rhetoric was
the huge quantities of ammunition
really
found
intense.
in the caves of Tora Bora testifies to Al-Qaeda's extensive preparation.
So it's a little weird for me as an adult now, being just openly saying lefty shit while watching this tape about 9/11 and the invasion of Afghanistan. Because things have only gotten more polarized. You can't even. There's just no point in even having a discussion between people with differing political opinions in America these days.
Would continue.
But this era was when I really,
Hamid Karzai was chosen
became aware of that polarization.
Of the new Afghan government.
Staying partnership of the United States with Afghanistan, in order to make this region safe, in order to make Afghanistan stand back on its own feet, and continue to fight against terrorism or the return of terrorism in any form to this country or to the region.
There was I went to a Catholic high school,
home takes on new and important dimensions.
There's an element of social justice in Catholic theology that we learn, and we had a chapter of Amnesty International was one of the clubs, in addition to the Sodality of the Virgin Mary Club that went to D.C. to the March for Life to protest legal abortions. There was also Amnesty International. And it was a very small club, and they were very ostracized. Everyone was really bitchy to them because they openly believed in human rights.
The anthrax
and would
scare
do
and the 3
pinko shit
anthrax poisoning
petitions and letter writing campaigns
insecurity to the forefront of domestic priorities. First thought to be a part of bin Laden's menace to America, the anthrax scare continues to be an unresolved murder mystery. The arrest of British terrorist Richard Reed,
the
who
fucking
attempted
shoe
to
bomber.
bomb an airliner from London to Miami, triggers a heightening of security.
Fuck that guy. Yeah, exactly.
While the kidnapping of Wall Street Journal
fuck the
reporter
TSA.
Daniel Pearl and his beheading in Karachi, Pakistan, would only remind America the imperative necessity of fighting terrorism.
Obviously the terrorists are bad.
On March 2nd, 2002, in a series of helicopter landings and strategic strikes,
Oh no, the Amnesty
United
people
States aims to stamp out
were
the
ostracized.
Taliban
The March
and
for Life
Al-Qaeda
people were.
in Afghanistan with finality.
People thought they were nerds,
Operation Anaconda would stand
but
as
they had the official support
America's war against
of
the
the school.
Taliban and Al-Qaeda in remembrance of September 11th.
Everyone loved them so much because they were fighting for. They were pro-life crusaders. Ugh. I tell you what, man, the early 2000s, being Catholic in the South in America,
been in the planning stages
it was just all abortion all the time.
After
Like,
Tora
that's
Bora
all anyone
and
cared
its
about.
inability to confront vast numbers of the Taliban or capture the leadership of Al-Qaeda, there seemed to be a lull in the war. In addition, there began to be a restlessness among certain elements of the press and public.
It's really like I was pretty. I don't know. It's what turned me off of Catholicism, to be honest. Was being 16 and having the usual like questioning your faith stuff, but then also just like having to go to mass every Friday at school and have a homily, have the priest just preach about abortion and how you should vote Republican.
5 over.
It just really turned me off.
Dragon 1-3 Bravo, this is Hard Rock 9-5, over.
Operation Anaconda was intended from the outset to use American troops, logistical supply, and air power to the utmost. The strategy was to send airborne units up to the mountainous areas of eastern Afghanistan and get the Taliban and Al-Qaeda in a pincer-like movement at the end of the valley.
Watch the back door. Say again, sir? 3. Let's go, Dan. Let's go. Dragon 1-3 Bravo, this is Hard Rock 9-5. I gotta relay something to my higher.
At elevations from 12,000 feet to 16,000, this was to be a strenuous battle.
Welcome back. Yes, we've been learning about death and war and geopolitics and abortion.
Spotters and ground controllers would locate and identify the enemy for American air power to punish.
I don't know. I guess I'm.
Final analysis, Operation Anaconda would not be a battle using.
I guess I'm venting a little bit.
But one with U.S. units bringing to the field a combination of training.
You have to find some catharsis
commitment
in this kind of.
Many of the young men in Anaconda knew people affected by
tape.
9/11, and their passion and bravery had deep roots in their own lives. The U.S. strikes were intended to move the enemy up to higher elevations, into open areas, and away from the caves where they were at their best and given the natural protection of this topography indigenous to this area of eastern Afghanistan.
This tape will be done in 10 minutes. Thankfully. There's really no. It's 2002. They didn't get bin Laden. There's no like neat conclusion they can wind over to. Like, like the war is ongoing as of this tape. Yeah.
Where's that fire coming from?
We haven't even invaded Iraq. Saddam still has all those weapons of mass destruction.
The full
Good thing we went
of
in and got
American
rid of them.
Technology and strategy would be used in Anaconda, as well as throughout the war in Afghanistan. There would not be a repeat of the quagmire and losses that the Russians faced in the Afghan war.
Oh,
The horrific loss of
honey.
to the weapon of choice for the Mujahideen.
Oh, honey.
The Stinger missile.
Afghanistan, definitely not going to become a quagmire.
The Stinger missile was effectively neutralized. Ground air controllers would help
honey, you
direct
don't
the
even know. Bless your heart, you idiot.
There's my weapon facing right into the rock. That was 1,000 pounder?
Yeah, there's been a real shift at the end of his tape where they're just like showing kind of footage of not a whole lot happening during combat operations. They're not really making a point. It's really shifted from like some sort of persuasive thing to just look at this cool footage of our troops.
Coming from anywhere on this side back here. Fucking, if we see something over there, fucking just get in position, fucking keep an eye on it, and like we'll call it back to see if we can.
Bring your guns out!
Hey, sir, we got killer stay here.
Yeah, these are all
The U.S. fighters were able to force the
boys.
enemy into forts and other controlled areas in Operation Anaconda. The U.S. forces were most effective, and the neutralization of the Taliban and Al-Qaeda was brought about.
Again, I can imagine that exact line being read in a North Korean newscaster voice. Like, it even has the awkward phrasing. The troops were very effective, and the annihilation of the enemy was brought about.
Hey, they're pushing it. HLZ-1, over. Roger, Killer Snake 5, Raider 6, we're taking us.
Oh, there you go.
The search for Osama bin Laden and the Al-Qaeda leadership would go on, but the victory in Anaconda was a turning point in Operation Enduring Freedom.
The forces we face represent very hardened elements of Al-Qaeda and Taliban, true dead enders. We expected that they would put up a fierce fight, and they have, and they are, and they continue to do so. But from everything we've seen, the coalition forces are certainly up to the challenge.
Fuck you, Donald Rumsfeld. Go pick up a gun and get in the fray, Donald Rumsfeld.
Regiment, Fort Drum, New York. Captain William Ryan, Alpha Company, 3rd Battalion, 101st Aviation.
You want it done, you do it, Rumsfeld. We're almost done. And then it will be time for Pretty Piggies.
Wars, America's soldiers were honored for their bravery and sacrifice to their country. But as the sounds of war would recede in Afghanistan, the voices and sounds of freedom, women, children, and music would be heard.
The Taliban became a plague on my nation. They took away our schools and our education, and they would burn our books. They even destroyed ancient artifacts. It is clear that the Taliban did not respect knowledge, education, or democracy. We now live in ruins surrounded by craters and landmines. No food, clothing, or medicine to care for those we love. Our young and old all suffer the pain of war, hatred, and oppression. Death comes too early to all the millions of refugees of Afghanistan. Come and help us. Our voices are beginning to be silenced.
The message is, boy, everything sucks and we live in ruins because of this war.
We have become starved and homeless.
But at least we're not living under the oppression of the Taliban anymore.
Help the Afghan nation. Help the women of Afghanistan. Help us to climb the wall of freedom. Help us to seek justice and destroy their jails.
And now they're living under the Taliban again.
Our storytellers and elders tell us of a land that was green and abundant, trees and flowers full of blossom. Our valleys were ripe and full of life. I call upon my sisters of the world to remove this oppressive regime and give us a voice, a lightness, and a pathway to my dreams. There are no choices, no voices, no rights in a society that excludes women and creativity. Only a society that reflects darkness, not light, evil, not goodness, and oppression, not democracy. Come, join us, and lift the darkness off of our lives. We live in ruins, sickness and hunger, but no one listens. We plea for freedom, justice, and the dignity of food, housing, and democracy.
Please send us your awesome high-tech fury.
Kept us bound to the past and welcome us into the new millennium of freedom. To think because of my gender I would never see the light of freedom, equality, or education. I am a non-person hidden behind a shroud called a burqa.
I hope you enjoy your hash browns. This is so close to being
All thought
done.
of the light rays of hope and knowledge will be burnt from my soul and existence. The Taliban will destroy my vision of myself, my daughter, and my people. The sounds of war, bombs, and rockets have begun to shut out the sun. If we unite and the world comes to us, there is hope. Freedom and human dignity is within our grasp for women, men, and children.
I watched I think it was Vice, or it might have been New York Times. I know Vice is like defunct
I
now.
am you.
It was
Come
from a
and
year or
join
two
the
ago,
fight.
and it was a piece about
We have become a
this
new
woman,
image on the conscience
this old
of the
woman in
world.
Afghanistan who like runs safe houses and hides, tries to keep women safe when they're like running
There
from
is now music where there was
abusive
silence.
partners or from the Taliban or whatever. And it was really a really amazing
We
piece
begin
and
a
just
journey
really
to nowhere.
bleak and depressing.
The green of the forest begins to show through, and the murmur of a river begins to give life to its surroundings.
Yeah, this was tone deaf
The
and
sound of
manipulative at the
birds
time.
begin to be heard.
With the benefit of hindsight and, you know, the knowledge that like it's all gone back to the way it was. This is very offensive.
The sunshine begins to be seen and felt. Its warmth gives rise to the human spirit, and life starts to return to the people of Afghanistan. The hopes and dreams of women and
I
children
don't mean like
begin
snooty
to flourish under the sun
liberal elite
and
college
Afghan sky.
campus straw man. That's offensive. I
Don't
just
let
mean
this
offensive
happen
to
to us
human
again.
sensibilities. Like it makes me uncomfortable.
I think the
way
long
they're
and the
presenting
short of
this.
it is there are a lot more of these pockets. We are going to pursue them. We are pursuing them now. We pursue them alone. We
Fuck
pursue
you,
them with
Donald
coalition
Rumsfeld.
forces. We pursue them with Afghan forces.
You're over time
until we get them.
I guess it was a minute of
America
silence
would
at the
respond to
start.
9/11 by honoring the memory of the people who died that day.
Oh no,
With the
not
country
again.
United, our young men and women would go to Afghanistan and topple the oppressive Taliban. And the war to defeat terrorism would become a worldwide effort. Operation Enduring Freedom is a seminal moment of the American spirit.
All right. I'm just going to fast forward through this part because number one, copyright, and number two, fuck you, this tape. Oh, good. Green night vision shot. The Piggy tape is not rewound, so I'm going to have to do that real quick. We're so free. Okay. Produced by Stephanie Heredia. According to the Watson Institute for International and Public Affairs at Brown University, in the years since 9/11, the so-called War on Terror, the wars that have been launched since the invasion of Afghanistan, over 940,000 people have died due to direct war violence. An estimated 3.6 to 3.8 million people have died indirectly in post-9/11 war zones, bringing the total death toll to at least 4.5 to 4.7 million and counting. Over 432,000 civilians have been killed as a result of the fighting. Approximately 38 million war refugees and people displaced. The U.S. federal price tag for the post-9/11 wars is over $8 trillion. At least 4 times as many active duty personnel and war veterans of post-9/11 conflicts have died of suicide than in conflict. The wars have been accompanied by violations of human rights and civil liberties in the U.S. and abroad. Pentagon spending has totaled over $14 trillion since the start of the war in Afghanistan, 1/3 to 1/2 of which went to defense contractors. Just a little bit of context for that tape. Again, that was from the Watson Institute at Brown University. And thank you yet indeed for the palate cleanser. I'm going to get Piggy tape rewound because it is not fully rewound. Given that we had to hear from Donald Rumsfeld on this of all days, I would just like to briefly call attention to the fact that about 3,000 people died on this day in 2001 due to a terrorist attack. And I don't think this narrative was particularly respectful of that loss of life. And just think we should breathe for a moment. And remember the lives lost and the ensuing chaos in the world that was spawned from all of this fucking nonsense. Well, that was fun. Operation Enduring Freedom, America Strikes Back. Fuck yeah, America. Now it's time for Piggies. But first, we have Doodly Doo from Bella Bunny. Thank you, Bella. Let's Doodly Do it up.
There's leaves and trash and paper and cash, they left it all in the gutter. So along comes Dusty a-singing this song with a chuckle, a snort, and a mutter. Oh, Oh, doodly, doodly, doodly doo. I'm keeping the streets so clean.
Hooray,
I'm
hash
scrubbing
browns.
and scraping, I'm pavement landscaping, I'm buffing this place to a sheen. Now just to remember, January to December, I'm Dusty, the street sweeping gal. My brushes are metal, I'm in fine fettle with Mac, my big city pal. Oh, doodly, doodly, doodly doo. I'm keeping the streets so clean. I'm scrubbing and scraping, I'm pavement landscaping, I'm buffing this place to a sheen.
Yay, fun. As a reminder to you all, by the way, when we raid, if indeed we raid our friend Stephen George later today playing Subnautica, the energy of Golden VCR today may have been staring death in the face and talking about war and abortion, etc. The energy of the Stephen George stream may be something different, so please try and respect that when you raid. I am 100% on board with hashtag daddy of them all, no matter what happens. But let's lean into the frontier days and the Piggies. Speaking of the Piggies, this was sent in by the Bella Bunny. It's from 1990. It's a short 25-minute cartoon palette cleanser for us. The pretty Piggies find fun and adventure on the high seas. From High Top Video and Video Treasures, the adventure begins. Based on the popular toy characters. Apparently they were... what? Do we have a toy company name in here? Pretty Piggies is a trademark of Hallmark Cards Incorporated. Used under license, copyright 1999, Hallmark Cards Incorporated, and Tomy America. I don't know what these toys were. The Past of Time. The Past of Time is also very good. They're the cutest, most refined swine you'll ever meet, the Pretty Piggies, and they're ready to begin their first adventure. While the Pretty Piggies are having a music recital for their muddy buddies, the Squealin' Wheelers, an evil Cajun alligator named Madame Queenie commands her magic gloves to steal the Piggies' valuables. The Cajuns are always getting typecast. Morning, Joshy D. You just missed Operation Enduring Freedom, America Fights Back. We are whiplashing our way back to Pretty Piggies. The adventure begins. Oh, good. The gloves, having a mind of their own, refuse and jump onto Patricia's hands. With a big poof, the Pretty Piggies magically disappear and are mysteriously reappearing on a desert island. Okay, so this is spoiling it. So begins the fantastic adventure of the four Pretty Piggies as Pammy, Penelope, Patricia, and Prissy start off on a wondrous, excitement-filled journey, spreading their piggy cheer and humorous outlook on life for ages 3 and up. This is exactly what we need right now, I think. Let's do it. I'm so excited for this. Pretty Piggies, the adventure begins. No war, no death. No complex geopolitical themes. It's all piggies, baby. Your pig drag name is Rubella, or just your drag name? Who does pig drag? Ooh, we got an Interpol warning. This is from High Top's video, so I really want the intro with the shoelaces lacing up that I remember from all my... For better video viewing, have VCR... Okay. Oh, it scrolls. Have your VCR routinely serviced twice a year. Wow. That's somebody who really cares about their VCR. Oh, hell yeah. I had a lot of Snoopy VHS tapes as a kid. So that intro brings me way back. I did record it. I was ready for it, but I was not ready for this song.
Pretty piggy, pretty piggy, pretty and pink. Oh, so lovely. Fancy ladies, everyone. Cute little features, beautiful creatures. The pigs still wanna have fun. Pretty piggies, fat adventures everywhere. Pretty piggy, Madam Queenie's magic gloves, it's time to spare. Pretty piggy,
An octopus cowboy. Oh my god.
Pretty piggies, they are pretty piggies. The squealing wheelers helping out. Hot, wild, and crazy. And don't forget about my scrappy toadies. Together they're gonna.
This is so 1990.
Pretty piggies having fun around the world. Pretty piggies, everybody's fun and girl. Pretty piggies.
Wow. The adventure begins. Here's where it all starts. I'm gonna look up Pretty Piggies. So I have no idea what this is. A TV miniseries? How many episodes were there of this? Okay, it's on Internet Archive with 5 episodes.
We're good.
5 25-minute episodes.
Maybe you ought to play bad. Then people might throw vegetables at us.
Hog, can't you forget about eating for 1 minute?
Hunk is right. A true artist is fed by his music.
Oh my god, they do look like Rocksteady and the other one.
Hey, thanks for reminding me, Horatio.
Why did Hallmark think that children would be into cartoon pigs?
You'd better investigate.
All the existing cartoon animal
Remember us squirrels?
cartoons were way cooler.
My mouth does when I eat peanut butter.
Like, we had ponies and turtles. Why would we want to be pigs?
Now, Penelope, manners. Sorry, Patricia.
The Squealin' Wheelers at your service.
Oh, heavens to hedgehogs!
Hey, are you girls okay? We are the worst screeching and squealing.
Really? Pammy was serenading us with an aria. Boy, I'm glad I don't live in that area. Look what you've done to our cottage. It looks like a pigsty. Oh, now, Pammy, it's the thought that counts. Won't you join us in a cup of tea?
I'll skip the tea. I'm on a diet. Gosh, Pammy, I'd love for us two to be best friends.
Me? Be a buddy with someone who's muddy? Oh, forget it.
Hey, what do you expect? We're pigs, remember?
There's so many unnecessary rhymes.
Whoops. Sorry.
Yeah, how gendered is this?
We were just discussing plans.
That's a rhetorical question. This is extremely gendered.
Doing what? Pammy will astound the operatic world with her singing. Prissy will impress the chefs of Europe with her incredible cuisine.
Yeah, I forgot. Like, I was recently, when I was hanging out with family, I watched a few, like,
Penelope will dance before the crown.
modern kids' TV shows with my nephews, who are like, 3 and 4. And it's not as gendered. Like, there was a cartoon with some. It's not Paw Patrol, but they're dogs and they build stuff. And they have parents, and the mom is like a cop and the dad cooks or something.
Sorry I ever steal these magic gloves.
I don't know. It's just also like a little refreshing that it doesn't have to be gendered, which makes it weird when everyone,
Now we're gonna see who are
in like the 2000s, if anything was like remotely inclusive or not gender normative, everyone would lose their shit. Oh shit! I'm not. Here we go.
There is no such thing as clean pigs. No.
What did I miss?
What you been doing? Stop this here thing! There you are, piggies. It's as good as new.
Which is more than I can say for myself.
Bristles.
Oh, I fix you real good for this.
Oh, please, madam.
That's okay. She's supposed to be a Cajun, an evil Cajun alligator.
Where's the pretty piggies?
Pretty sure she's a gypsy stereotype.
The piggies? Just like them tea leaves promised by Gumbo.
Oh, tea leaves? Oh,
By Gumbo? I don't know. Her Cajun accent is not very good. Anyway, this is weird.
Suits me to a T.
But I'm not paying attention at all.
Okay, time to steal their valuables here. You hear me plenty good by Gumbo. And don't forget their piggy bank. Ow!
Gracious!
Hey! What for you swipe my swiping gloves?
She's right, Patricia. I'm afraid those are not your property. I'm trying to get them off, but...
She's like a Rosemary Clooney character.
Give back them gloves, or you'll be plenty sorry.
Oh, this is so embarrassing. I wish we were 1,000 miles from here.
Is this the premise of the entire show? They have magic gloves that grant wishes because
they disappeared
of
faster than a leftover
vaguely Cajun, maybe gypsy woman alligator is trying to go in their house and steal their shit because they're polite Southern belles, so they let people into their house no matter what, even if they're trying to steal their shit. I'm really lost here. But to reiterate, this is very 1990.
They're after the Piggies.
Come on, guys, let's follow them.
On second thought, maybe we'd be more useful here.
A beach? How on earth did we get here? The important question is, what are we going to do for fashionable swimwear? Somehow, I have the feeling those gloves are the reason we're here. I like them. They make a fashion statement. Ah, the open sand. It makes a pig want to dance. Dance! Dance! What happened? You tripped on that. That thing.
What happened?
It's some sort of sea chest. Ooh, hurry, let's open it. There might be some swimsuits inside.
Oh, she does sound like Phil and Lil. I forget the name of her voice actor. Sorry, I'm going back to capture what happened. What happened? Apologies.
Gloves are the reason we're here. I like them. They make a fashion statement. Ah, the open sand. It makes a pig want to dance. Dance! Dance! What happened? You tripped on that. That...
What happened?
Ooh, hurry, let's open it. There might be some swimsuits inside. No such luck. It's just a bunch of old coins and stuff. And silk. I can whip up the most darling outfits with this. Oh, girls, I'm afraid we're not alone.
What are you doing with my pirate treasure?
Pirate treasure, pirate treasure.
So, trying to make off with me booty, eh? You'll hang from the highest yardarm for this.
Oh, hey, hey. You heard the captain. From the highest yardarm, highest yardarm. Honestly, sir, we're not interested in your booty. We're just trying to cover our own. That's right. We were looking for bathing suits.
Either way, you know too much.
Oh, did you hear that, girls? He thinks we have superior intelligence. Thank you, Captain. I'm sure you're pretty smart yourself for a pirate.
Belay the jaw jabber. I'm Black Bear the Buccaneer, and you're coming aboard my ship.
How exciting! We're invited on a cruise. I wonder if they have shuffleboard. I wonder if we can get separate staterooms.
I wonder if I'm making a big mistake. Avast, you bilge-rats! All hands on deck!
All hands on deck! All hands on deck!
These piggy prisoners will be sailing with us on our voyage of plunder and pillage. Belay there! What's all the grumbling about?
Our women on board a vessel ain't nothing but bad luck.
So the Pretty Piggies were plush toys from Tomy, America.
They know where the booty's
They were apparently popular in like 1989.
Batten the hatches and lash down the jib.
You can buy this one on eBay
And don't forget the
for $12.50.
It's just like one of those swashbuckler movies. Ooh, maybe I ought to.
This is another one that's in the box. Pretty Piggies.
Oh, they're gone. Them oinkers be plenty slippery.
Oh, Madam Queenie, look, we're too late. They're on that pirate ship.
This be all your fault, you mush-mouth muskrat. I'm gonna fricassee your tail, Cajun style.
No, don't be hasty, Madam.
We had to have, if you had a toy line in 1990, you needed a cartoon with
Oh, no problem. It's extremely sharp.
weird mishmash racial stereotype accents.
The hole's all bad stuff. I think I'll reward myself with some lunch, you know.
Oh, no lunch yet, Hammerhead. You still got a hole to patch.
Did someone say lunch? Hey, guys! Look at all this food I found you!
Hog, put that stuff back. It belongs to the piggies.
I just didn't want it all to go to waste.
What are their names? Their names are just like Hog and Pig.
That's if they get back. I'm worried about them, Hog.
Me too, Hog.
I could really get into housework. I be warning ye, wenches. The first sign of trouble and I'll deep six the lot of ya.
Deep six. Toss you over the side, feed you to the fishes, let you talk to Davy Jones, call Colette. That would never happen. We're not the troublemaking sort. Besides, we never talk to strangers. Especially ones we don't know.
Well, just in case, I'm leaving Pat here to keep an eye on ya.
And I've got just the eye with which to do it. Uh-oh. I wonder where Prissy is. I believe she's in the kitchen.
It ain't a kitchen, it's a galley. And she better not be causing any trouble down there.
Trouble? Prissy? Why, she could never cause trouble. Are you really planning to serve this to the men?
Oi, lady, it's the same slop I've been feeding them for 20 years. What's wrong with it?
Well, if you must know, I wouldn't serve it
The
to my
accents,
friends.
the sound effects.
Pigs. Perhaps if we add a pinch of salt and a soupçon of mustard seed and a little basil and
Forget Basil. He was swallowed by a whale last week.
There! The canoe is finished, Madam Queenie, and I carved it out with just this penknife.
Well, it's about time. That pirate ship, she got one mean head start.
Oh, never mind. We'll catch up with them real quick. I promise.
We better, or you'll be plenty sorry, I guarantee. Now let's shove off.
Okay, Madam Queenie, jump in. Gently.
No, he tells me.
Back a little more, Hug. Keep coming back. A little further.
This is more fun than
Far enough.
the U.S. invasion of Afghanistan.
Here's a little finger food for you.
It's got that going for it.
And some for you. And some for you.
I don't like the looks of this scrub. It's too neat for my taste.
So, finger food. I was expecting real fingers.
Heavens to ham hocks! Look at those fingernails. They're positively disgraceful. Huh. Now you go scrub those.
Who is this show for?
Yes, ma'am.
Like,
If you want dessert,
9-year-old girls with OCD.
And I thought us pirates was cold-blooded. Oh, what torture! I'd rather be hung by me thumbs.
I'm so glad you gentlemen could come to the music recital. Would you care for some pastries?
I'll need it. Listening to this stuff is hard work.
But first you must say the magic word.
Oh, please.
That's much better.
That's it! I can't take it anymore! Man overboard! Stop the boat! And you call yourself a friend?
All these pirates didn't know what they were getting into when they shipped out of Southampton.
Lovely. And now, gentlemen, you'll
Ham.
probably face the poop deck. We can proceed with our
Pig.
fashion show. Music, please.
Oh,
You'll notice our brawny buccaneer is wearing the latest in high fashion for the high seas. Designed, of course, by yours truly.
Big sissy, am I? I'll show you, you lily-livered lovers! Ahoy, all hands! Sound general quarters!
yeah, what is the pig's motivation? What are they trying to accomplish here?
Now, what do you suppose caused that? I haven't the faintest idea.
Pedal faster! Those pigs got plenty big head start, I guarantee!
Honest, Madam Queenie, honest, I'm paddling, but we're not skedaddling.
Aha! I found out the reason for what that be. You better let go, or I make you plenty sorry, Bagumbo. Okay, no more Mrs. Nice Gypsy.
Okay, they said it.
You think you're some kind of big shot, but you'll be just a little shrimp.
So she's supposed to be Cajun, but also a stereotypical gypsy.
Your daily ration of grog is now being served on the forward afterdeck.
Interesting.
If it's all the same to you, Captain, we'd rather have tea.
No. How many times must I tell you? The little finger must always remain out, like so.
You heard Miss Penny.
That's it.
Really, that's sissy swell. Now see what you've done. You've turned these fine thieving cutthroats into a bunch of tea-swilling jellyfish.
Now, Captain, there's no need to thank us. Pammy's right. I believe it's the tea. It has such a...
I can see that, yeah.
Ahoy, Captain Black Bear! Merchant ship
You can be subversive as long as you're doing it within your established gender role.
filled to the scuppers with loot! What? With loot! Avast, me hearties! Prepare to loot, sack, pillage, and plunder!
And don't shoot till you see the whites of their eye, whites of their eye.
My oldest nephew is 4.
Pretty piggies have taught you.
We met him a couple of years ago when he was 2, and he was really, really into cars, like concerningly so. And when I went to visit, he's 4 now, I went to visit recently, and he's super into princesses, loves Princess Peach, dresses up in like princess costumes all the time. We went bowling. It was really cute. We went bowling, and they have like a little thing where, for little kids, where you just like put the ball on top of this little thing and it rolls down. And he would like do a little flourish, a little dazzle, a little spin. Apparently, he picked that up from playing the Princess Peach game. Like every time he dropped the ball, he would twirl around. It was really cute.
A long walk? Oh, dear me. If I'd known, I'd have brought along some sensible shoes.
You pitiful pin-headed porker. I'm talking about that plank.
The diving board? How terribly cruel. You knew all along we didn't bring our bathing suits.
I'm sure the sharks won't mind a bit, girlie. All right, witches. Quit squawking and start walking.
Oh dear! I just wish something would happen to save us.
Well, what are you waiting for?
I'm sorry, but a lady never goes anywhere without her gloves.
All right, here they are. What in blue?
I'm impressed they even got 5 episodes out of this premise.
Finger from finger.
They have magic gloves.
I'll get you for this.
If you want to watch more of these, you can find them on Internet Archive. Someone has helpfully uploaded all 5 episodes. You can see them go to the future, probably. I feel like I saw everything I needed to see from the intro.
Got your precious gloves. Now, forward march.
Remember, girls, keep a stiff upper
I've
snout.
given you your gloves back, even though they are clearly magical and have been assaulting my crew.
Au reservoir. If this is civilization, I'd rather be someplace uncivilized.
What happened? I didn't hear a splash.
Aye, them sharks must have been even hungrier than we thought.
There she be, the pirate ship! We have caught up to her, great Gumbo!
And look, they're sending some sort
I
of...
really wish she would stop saying "bye gumbo," a thing that no one in Louisiana has ever said.
Louisiana Bayou, here we come!
Heavens to hog bristles! What happened? I haven't the faintest idea. Where's the ocean? And where are the pirates? More importantly, where are we? Pretty piggies, I do believe we're back in prehistoric times!
Oh, right, it's a mini-series, huh? Yar har diddly dee, being a pirate's alright to be. Do what you want, 'cause a pirate is free. You are a pirate. I think I've heard that song. Not recently, though. Just in time. Murakami, Wolf, and Swinson. Sax Finley. Sax, Finley. Programming. All right.
They're polite, they're popular, and they're piggies.
Oh boy.
Pretty piggies, that is. And you can collect all 5 of their fantastic adventures.
How exciting!
In The Adventure Begins, the Pretty Piggies find fun and adventure.
That's why there's only one 25-minute episode on each tape.
Zapped back in time into an adventure of
because they were made to sell.
And in Pork to the Future, our friends find themselves facing a futuristic...
I'm sorry. Pork to the Future. Just needed to make sure we clocked that.
In When in Rome, the Pretty Piggies zip back to the past for a radical Roman romp through time. And finally, in Western Omelette, it's highfalutin frontier fun as those Pretty Piggies meet Willie the Squid. So don't miss out on any of the Pretty Piggies video series. Available wherever videos are rented or sold.
Oh, it's High Tops again. Whew. All right. We have successfully watched Pretty Piggies, the most uplifting tape of today. We've got I think, just a little bit of time before we wrap it up here. So I'm going to go, let's see. We are good on songs. I'm going to put on some opera for you. We have watched several segments from this tape. We will get to God's Property, indeed. Just want to make sure we do that at the very end. So this is Meet the Met, but thank you for the reminder. I slipped my mind there. Meet the Met, favorite opera scenes. We've been getting some real class and culture from this tape, and I've been really enjoying the production value of the Met. Oh, and we have a train. Thank you for that reminder, too. I will have to do that, yeah. So this is what? Was this Barber of Seville? It came on screen and I already forgot. Yeah, from Act 1 of The Barber of Seville by Rossini. Una voce poco fa, from Rossina. Rossina reciprocates her unknown admirer's love. Resolved to be his, she is ready to use any stratagem to escape from Bartolo's tyranny. Oh my God, it's a snack. Thank you. Thank you so much. That's so kind of you. How beautiful. That is a fine egg salad. Shout out to Haley. She makes an excellent egg salad. And I feel very blessed. I like it. What do you think of the pickled okra, Haley? I know you're not a relish in egg salad kind of person, right? The pickled okra has a nice crunch, a nice little spice to it. It's subtle. It's a great image, that subtitle. This scene is a little more subdued than the stuff we've seen from, like, The Magic Flute or Othello. But it is Act 1. Also, it says she got a letter from an unknown admirer. It says she reciprocates her unknown admirer's love. How? If you don't know who someone even is, how does that work? These 17th century Italians must have been very desperate. I've taken an etching of my dick. I've been close to rubbing. Yeah, who knows? Oh, these notes are also printed in French. Les barbiers de Séville. Rosine répond à la mort de jeune inconnu. Résolu à être sien, elle est prête à toutes les ruses pour se soustraire à la tutelle de Bartolo. Oh, wow. A multi-course snack. That's so kind of you. Thank you. A little strawberry treat. How nice. Hooray. I believe that is, yes, Barber of Seville, Act 1. Act 1. This has been a stream. What have we learned today? No need to reflect on that now. What a day. I will throw you over to a raid of Stephen George playing Subnautica if that's something you want to watch. Stick around for that. But I am going to first end my recording and then play God's Property. So bye, VOD.